Everybody, Gerone Wright here once again, and once again you're joining me on my Gerone Wright YouTube channel here on YouTube. I have an image up here of a figure, Pope John Paul. Okay, and it's my position that I became angered. I normally try to stay away from doing the religious stuff because I know people have a strong connection and strong feelings when it comes to this type of stuff. And but this here, people, I became angered when I heard that the Vatican had extracted his blood and attempting his resurrection, putting his blood in his casket and all of that. You know, all of this, you know, first of all, let me go with this, that all of this comes from the Vatican at a time when religion is losing its chokehold on the minds of people. And if you think about it, if you go back into the ancient times where they actually have been exposed for creating scenarios where they were mocked and staged divine events supposed to be happening, there was stage props that was actually fixed in place where they would trick the people to get more followers or get them to donate more money, you know. And this is what this reminds me of, this thing with the blood, because people, we all know that blood is associated with that of like satanic rituals and offering of blood and giving of blood. And you have to ask yourself, where is the mindset of the world's people when these people are allowed to now discuss putting blood into an exhumed casket and all? This is bothering to me. And it's not only bothering, but it's to divert attention away from reality and the truth. Through my ongoing paranormal experience and encounter, I'm going to reveal to you here today how this man is to be considered resurrected. And it is, by the way, through the blood. Be totally honest with you. All right. In my position, that this red represents the blood, the white represents the semen. It's a contamination. It's my position that this man, throughout his religious career, has been cross-contaminated with the blood and the semen of his colleagues, meaning all the way from bishops to cardinals. And I'm not talking about just in Vatican City. I'm talking about global, throughout each and every nation, through the blood and semen of the virgins, through the nun and Catholic monasteries. This man is a genetic vessel, a contaminated genetic vessel of contaminated genes. He sacrificed himself genetically for the cause and his belief in his religion. And this is what true religion is all about. This man, think of him as an incubator of genes, a cross-contamination of genes from the entire scenario that I just now stated, from women and men alike, from all different, every nations, a select pool of virgin blood, virgin semen, a select pool that these people have in place on each continent through their buildings and through their cult-like scenario of sex scenarios. It's a cauldron, people, where all of these genes over a period of time, over this man's religious career, has been taken into his body. Now, I'm going to tie this with that of Jesus. I'm going to tie this in with that of Lazarus, or who else? The Lazarus that they raised from the dead after so many different times. My phone is going crazy here. I think it's Lazarus that they actually raised from the dead after 5 days, or 4 days, and then Jesus raised from the dead after 5 days. Well, I'm going to raise him from the death of after 6 days. Now, keep in mind that there are online stories circulated about this man, about when he passed away. He was laid in a room and a wax seal was put on that door. And he stayed in there for 6 days. After the 6 days, they went in there. They went in there, and then they took in extracted blood from his body. Well, look at the scenario that I'm presenting to you about this man being a genetic vessel, a contaminated genetic vessel. His body is a vessel of multiple contaminated semen species and blood species from virgins. Okay, I'm talking about virgins of male and female. Okay, cross contaminations. Okay, of not just with the monasteries, of that of nuns and that of Buddhist priests. I'm talking about global. It's a network of these genes that this man takes into his body. Now, all of them contaminated, entwined into this man. One. At the time of his death, he gets laid to rest. And after 5 days, well, no, it's 6 days that they stated, the wax was taken off the door. They extract his blood. Do you know why that is done? Because it's the same story. I already knew this. Once I seen and I heard of this, I already knew what it was on why it was done. Because through my paranormal experience and encounter, I envisioned it with Jesus, and I envisioned it with Lazarus, the other guy that was raised from his tomb after 5 days. Or after 4 days, and I think Jesus was 5. They raised from they raised up from their tomb. You know why? Because they were the same as him. They were genetic vehicles, genetic vessels. And you know why the blood was extracted? It's not them rising physically. It's about the genetics being extracted from their body, the blood and the semen. You know why? Because from the cocktail of the chemistry of all of these genes that I told you through the scenario placed in their bodies, this is an incubator. You know what happens? That at that point in time, after the 6-day extraction, or after the 5-day extraction, or after the 4-day extraction, you know what is happening? The weak genetic cells, the strands, are dead. Only the strongest survived. So this blood is extracted minus the weak cells, the weak strands, and the strongest is taken back out to contaminate those that are accepting this and those that are unsuspectingly accepting this. It's genetic contamination. This man has been resurrected through his blood and through his semen after 6 days of being put down. Well, after dying. It's a way of extracting the weakened genes. Whatever the genes were that was the weakest at that time, it's a lot to do with that of our ape and African ancestors and all of the gene pools that came before that. And each time this process is done with Lazarus, with Jesus, with John Paul here, there's a weakening level of the genes that we evolved from, where these new genes are being created and the old are being taken out. It's a renewal of genes. Think about it. I die today. I've been running around knowingly, running around from continent to continent, sleeping with virgins, taking their DNA into my body, their blood, their semen, females, males alike, taking this stuff all into my body. And throughout my life, 80, 90, this has all been incubated in my body. A concoction, my body becomes a cauldron, a witch's brewing kettle, for those genes, all those genes from each and every nation, the strongest of genes I took in from the top. From the prime pick, they had the prime pick of the kettle of these genes under the guise of religion. Through every nation, they have the prime pick. I have the prime pick. I got all of these genes in my body. I pass away. And each day that I lay there in state, these genes, the weakest ones, are dying. On the 5th day, or the 6th day, or the 7th day, whatever genes is pulled out, our blood is pulled out, and semen that is surviving are selected as being the strongest and containing all of the other genes that was actually put into the body in the first place. My name is Gerone Wright. I'm telling you right now that this is beyond anything that you can ever imagine. And there is no way, unless I was having a paranormal experience and encounter, that I could even tell you or describe this to you in this way. But look at all of the images of Jesus rising from out of those paintings, those Renaissance artist paintings, of Jesus rising from his tomb after being laid to rest, and then the soldiers laying down with their different color clothing on, representing different nations. This all talking about Jesus defeating these nations without lifting a sword. You know why? Because he defeated them genetically. He's in their bodies genetically. His genes is what rose above all other genes. It's genetic contamination, a genetic warfare. This is why he didn't have to lift a sword. Now, another problem that I have with all of this before I close this video out is that when you go to get communion in any one of these given places, it should bother you. Now, the fact of the matter is that they even had this man's blood in the first place. Because what sick-minded people extract the blood from any given body? This is not stated nowhere in ancient texts of religion that this is even supposed to be happening. So what prompted them to draw this man's blood? Now, the next problem that I have with this is that there is no public record of these people. These people have everything in private, under the cost of the people, under taxation, because that's what that is, a tax. Under the masses of people globally. They enjoy going around the globe globally, collecting money and funds, and they then got it to the point where they can afford their own medical facilities, where outsiders are not even privileged to the information, the records, DNA types, or anything. The cause of death, or no autopsies conducted. But yet they have the enjoyment of going around. They can come outside of their circle to collect these monies to create these environments, these sanctuaries that they have. This people you should be troubled by, because it's not only pertaining to them, it's pertaining to ancient rooted royalty as well. The same exact scenario where they're hand in glove with each other. Again, I always like to say how the Knights Templar was actually going out, and just before they were about ready to expose religion for what it really was, royalty came in. The police for them, royalty came in and beheaded the Knights Templar, and on top of that took in the ones that escaped. They escaped, but disbanded the Knights Templar, whom tried to expose ancient rooted religion for what it really was, as I'm doing now. People, it should trouble you that when you go for communion, they're giving you a glass, supposedly a glass of wine. They're stating that in this glass of wine is the blood of Jesus, and then a broken piece of which represents blood. Now a broken piece of bread, and they say the body of Jesus. Now the only body part that's white, that is even looking like that, and look and melt that quick in your mouth, is semen when you get this. So just imagine that there is just a tinge of true genetics, meaning blood, of this individual or any concoction that they are making behind closed doors, because you don't know what they're giving you, just a tinge of blood, a pinch of blood, because we know a pinch of blood can contaminate a whole body. A pinch of semen, which is genetics. You put these two items into your body, and it's not only altering your blood DNA, but also your semen DNA. But hold it, not immediately, because it's a small amount, but it's enough. It's a strong factor in it all that eventually in your lifetime, at some point in your life, it appears. It goes into your body almost like an invasion, like a body snatcher, based on the genes that they're creating. Now, you must see my other videos. I'm doing some amazing videos right now on the Beatles album cover, the Revolver, this, that, and the third. I'm releasing some amazing videos, people. You guys need to see this because it shows how nations are allowed to take turn under the authority of religion and ancient rooted religion, which is this Vatican, and ancient rooted royalty, where they're allowed to come in and contaminate certain nations at a certain cycle in time, de-alter the womb of women, and contaminate the the ejaculatory system of male. Cross-contamination. And artists are showing this. And German artist Otto Dix, I'm showing his work as being the prime candidate for how this is actually being done. See my videos, people. As reality starts to set in, that religion is not what it is supposed to, what it portrayed itself to be. As reality is starting to set in, that ancient rooted royalty has a more sinister set to itself behind the scenes than what it seems to be and what it's projecting to us. And reality, as what they showed it to us to be, is not actually that. Look for clever ways for them to deceive you even more, to try to put that get you back in that chokehold vice. You have ancient alien theorists. You have shows like America Unearthed, where they start out as if they're going to tell you something or reveal something against these people, but in the end of the episode, take you spiraling off with still unanswered questions. Why these people are getting a paycheck in their pocket, you're still left mind-fucked, more so than you were before they even started. People, reality is what I am telling you, what you already know. The truth is that these people are cross-referencers of mankind's genetic being, meaning the cross-referencing of not just mankind's genes, but that of animal kind's genes alike, which involves reptiles, oceanic creatures, and also land creatures. And this is what mankind's genetic becoming has always been about. I also said, and since I'm here in this video, while I got him up here, I also stated that for these people to live such a righteous life, where they're privileged to the best foods, the best environments, and I'm not just talking about Pope John Paul II here. I'm talking also about ancient rooted royalty. They never had to work a day in their life. They never had to go through the trials and tribulations of normal people do, like me and you, every day. But yet they do not age well. They end up with sores on their mouths, sores on their faces, redness in their face. They look very, very sick, broken over in the end, looking like they have maybe sclerosis of their spine, where their spines are bent in, again, this all lends to what I'm stating, that what is being subject to here. Because I be damned if I'm gonna serve something and then have to look like shit at the time of my death. Again, ancient rooted kingships and queenships. I mean, these people have the best of food, the best of everything, and I'm also stating that they're utilizing their bodies as genetic vessels as well. Again, the queen, I don't give a damn if you live to be 90 or 100. I don't give a damn. The fact of the matter is then you've had such a great quality of life that you should not have to put not a touch or a drop of makeup on. These people, when you see them, their lifestyles are consistent. Their physical appearance are consistent. The queen's husband, in fact, I forget his name, I forgot what it was there, but they have the appearance of looking like everything that I described based on the life that I described them as having, which they're utilized as genetic bridging vessels, and this is why their skin, their eyes, and their facial appearances and their bodies in general look the way they do at the time of death or when they start aging. Now, which brings me to something else. How much time do I have here? Okay, I'm at 21. I'm only going to take a half an hour on this. Okay, good. Let me tell you something else about this. Now, you have a Popo figure with all the money and power at his disposal and this ancient rooted religion. And then you have kingships and queenships. Since I'm going to make this all the same video topic. They have all of the money in the world. They only have a certain period in their life where they look good. Oh, you know what? That's another thing too. Notice that when nuns and monks and all of that, they go into these organizations with religion, and they look so young and beautiful and vibrant when they go in. But do you notice that the nuns, imagine with me, people, when the nuns go in, they're young and beautiful. I mean, from all around the world. They look beautiful when they go in, the younger pictures. But as they start aging miserably. I mean, they look horrible. Their cheeks, everything, it seems like they just go out of, like they're taking steroids. Or in fact, well, they are taking steroids because semen and I mean, like bull nuts and all that is instead. So imagine me stating what I'm stating, that they're giving genetics of other people. So they're taking on male characteristics. Look at nuns on how they look. Their jaws start sagging, their chin starts sagging. I mean, people, they go in young and beautiful. They don't really eat anything. I mean, they're not eating everyday McDonald's and all of that stuff like the rest of the population is, but they look like shit when they grow older. They go in looking young and beautiful, and it looks like their lifestyle is reversed, and they become older. Look like people of the street that has been exposed to everything that normal people have, when in fact they have not. You know why? Because again, those nun monasteries are genetic bridging stations where these genes are being bridged over and the contamination is taking place. The same thing with the male figures. Look at the male figures. Google any one of them and go to images of clergy. Look at these people pop up with sores on their faces, sores on their mouths. I mean, the skin is dry, the faces are dry, the lips are dry. Look at these people. How can you dedicate your life to serving something and look like shit? Something is wrong. You know what's wrong? Utilizing your body as a genetic bridging vessel. You go to Google people that look like, that have AIDS, are in the last stages of AIDS. They have powdered faces and powdered lips and all of this. That's the exact scenario you get when you Google images of clergy. These people come in from across the globe, from everywhere you can possibly imagine. They go in there as young, beautiful virgins, male and female. And by the time they age, they look like shit. All right. Back to this guy and what I was telling you. Okay, I know where I was. I thought I lost focus. Okay, I'm going to start ending this video. I'm going to try to end this video for 30 minutes. Nothing means more to these people than genetic altering themselves from one state to the next, meaning that from their ancient rooted ancestry of the ape and African ancestor and ancestors which are before that. I'm going to show you another image after this as well too. That with all the money and all of the power in the world, they still have to come to this point where they have to lay down and die. So they do live to get older, as we see in our kingships and queenships, and in our papacies and in religion. We do see that them growing to get older, but still they have a painful and an unusual death, to be totally honest with you, where they don't look so good. Now, so what would mean more to you? Imagine with me, if you had all of the money at your feet in the world, all of the resources, all of the science, all of the medicines at your feet, not only an ancient rooted religion, but also an ancient rooted royalty, what would you be working on? Oh yeah, let me help you with the answer. You would be looking at ways on how to cheat death and how to look better while you're doing it. Everything that they have failed at thus far, but have been working on. Now, look at your neighbors. Look at the people from, specifically African Americans, I go at, but look at everyone. Because our Caucasian counterparts are not losing their hair at the ages of 15 and 16. I mean, as I'm growing up and as I'm looking around here and as I'm seeing things now, I see where African Americans are losing their hair at an alarming growing rate, especially with women. I have a receding hairline myself. Well, I shave my hair, but my hair is gone as well too. Now, the fact of the matter is that I see teens now at 15 and 16 years old that do not have no hair and have to wear weaves or hair pieces to make up for their hair loss. Whereas their Caucasian counterparts or Asian, they have a full head of hair. So are you stating that this is genetics that is going on? No, you know what it is? It's genetic altering. Whereas our African American and our Africans are closer on that table of creation to their ape ancestor, which is becoming an extinct species. Oh gosh, hold on. Alright. So this is the reason why. But if you go and look at what is happening here with the ancient royal children, ancient rooted royalty children, and you go into looking at people that's involved in the Catholic monasteries and this, that, the third, where this process of them losing their hair is stretched out, or becoming a look bad is stretched out. So they are achieving a goal in stretching out the lifespan of mankind and the physical appearance and look of mankind, because this is the reason why you have people with the long, beautiful blue blonde hair and all this, that, and the third, and you have our Asian world that have their long black hair, and all of these species came after our ape and African ancestor. So as a result of this genetic bridging, there is a level of success behind what's been going on all along. The genetic altering of man being with utilization of these animals. However, what is happening is that at the time of death, the truth comes out. Because at the time of death in aging, this man is nothing but his African ancestor turned inside out through a bunch of genetic bridgings that calls for him to be in the likeness that he is now. So at the time of death, he returns to that of what he looked like in the first place, which is his ape and African ancestor, or his not, I shouldn't say his African, his ape ancestor. So you're not cheating anything. And in fact, you're worse off, because everything that you put into your body is coming to head in your face, meaning the supposedly ugly that you were trying to run away from with the ape comes to surface at your time of your death. This is what I'm trying to say. Now, people, I'm going to close this video out. I know that it's going to offend some people, but you know what? The truth is coming out. what should offend you is that, ask yourself, what is the Vatican doing with the blood of this man? What is the Vatican? I mean, we have a nation of people, of many nations of people that are suffering dearly. What are you doing playing with the blood of a dead pope? What is you doing honoring this man in this kind of way in the first damn place? If you truly believe that you can raise him from the dead, I mean, there are morgues around the country where dead bodies are in there every day. If you want to fucking impress me, go grab a frozen body from out of the morgue that's just been freshly dead for just a day, or from the hospital, and raise that body up. Don't come with some type of trickery and treachery to tell me now that after all of these years, this 5 or 7 years, this man's been dead, that you're going to put some blood in his tomb and he's going to get up. Well, if that's the case, then of the mind that I have in mind, I'm stating then that he never died then. Oh, okay, well, we have cameras and everything facing in. You can see that. Well, cameras can be, can be altered. Imaging can be altered. We can be thinking we're looking at a casket and he's getting in the casket in another frame, in a picture frame. And then the camera switch back to where you open it up and he's in there. We are in a day and age where technology, anything is possible. So if you want to impress me about raising somebody from the dead, do me a favor and go to the hospital, to a morgue, somebody that just died, that's in the news, and go there with your 900 plus clergy officials from the Vatican City, and go in there and pray around the hospital, and y'all stay outside, and then let the hospital tell us that he done came up from the dead. And make sure that it's not a hospital that's actually controlled by you guys. Make sure that it's a metro hospital that where everybody goes to, which, by the way, that's the way should be the way your hospital is, because they actually pay for it. It's amazing that they even can have this type of asylum, and everything that they are is based on money that they get from across the globe everywhere. This is absolutely crazy. It makes me mad. It really does. It really makes me mad. But anyway, people, this man's blood should not even be in the possession of the Vatican. That's number one. Number two is that you should not be paying attention to that shit about that blood. And then number three is that the fact of the matter is the reason why they have that blood, and the reason why that blood was extracted 5 days from after the fact of this man dying, is because the weak cells in the blood dies away after that period of time, and the surviving cells, which they are concerned about to use to contaminate other places and other nations, that is the strongest blood that they want, and semen that they want. So therefore it's taken. Oh, they can't tell you that they took his semen, because then you will know what time it is. You say, oh shit, they're taking blood and semen. We know what it is. But this is the same scenario that is referenced in the Bible with Jesus rising from the dead and with Lazarus rising from the dead. It's not them rising physically. It's about them rising genetically. And that's what they're talking about. My name is Gerone Wright, and I'm going to tell you something. It's going to get hotter. It's going to get hotter. If they close me out, you can find me I'm on Facebook. If this YouTube shut me down, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm all over the place here on G+. Or you can Google my name, Gerone Wright. You know what I mean? Find me. I'll try to find another way to get these videos out to you. But sooner or later, I'm expecting for them to shut me down. But until then, I'm turning up the temperature, people. Thank you.